Welcome to the uCast training video on advertising and marketing basics for your organization. This training will cover some basics regarding the difference between marketing and advertising, as well as some suggested ways to advertise your organization or your events to campus as a whole. So first, we need to talk about what the difference is between marketing and advertising. Marketing is the process of teaching stakeholders why they should choose your product or service. Marketing includes the whole experience, so it's from the moment they meet a member or find out about your organization all the way through their participation in your event or in your meeting and beyond. Advertising is a way of announcing or praising in some public way your organization, your events. The goal is to have people attend, to buy, or to use a product or service that you're providing. So really this presentation is going to talk about both areas, but really focus in on advertising methods. We want to think about what methods will most get people to our events or to use the products we're selling or providing. But first we need to look at creating that plan, that overall plan, which we call a marketing plan. A marketing plan includes a couple of different components. The first thing you need to do is to identify who you're targeting in your efforts. Is your event really made for first-year students or for a particular major or a particular level of GPA? Maybe it's an honorary group that really wants to focus on people with a 3.2 or higher. Is your event really made for thrill seekers or for people who like to spend time alone reading? You want to focus most of your efforts on getting those individuals who have an interest or fit with what you're planning. We often want everyone to attend our events or to join our organization, but that's not realistic. While some of your advertising efforts should be general to invite a large variety of people, we really do want to focus in on getting those individuals who already have a fit with what you're trying to accomplish. A marketing plan will also include a timeline for reaching all of your target demographics. In career and leadership development, we work on a minimum of a 6-week timeline. This allows us to consider the time needed to place ads, create materials, and to get on people's calendars. We know that students are very busy with jobs and class and many commitments, and so we want to give them enough time that they can choose to come to our events if it's something that interests them. You also want to consider if you're going to be collaborating with other organizations. This can take some time to get other groups on board, especially if you're asking for funding or for effort from the other group. Marketing plans also include a consideration of the event date or promotion deadline that you're working on. Whenever you are creating an event or a promotion for your organization, there may be competing products or events that you'll want to schedule around so that you're not planning the same kind of event on the same day as another org. Or maybe you want to work with those organizations in order to create a larger event with both orgs working together. The other piece about considering the event date or deadline is to consider all of the other commitments your members already have. Planning one more event on top of an already busy fall is maybe not the best thing to do to your organization. How are you going to be able to really give the marketing efforts, the advertising efforts you're doing, the time and effort they need if you don't have enough people that can get on board? So maybe a spring plan would be better, or maybe it's moving it earlier in the semester in order to really be able to prioritize time and effort of all of your membership. A marketing plan must include a budget. Even if the budget says $0, it's important to identify if you have money and how much. Copies cost money, as do ads and any kind of giveaways. Now sometimes you can get these donated, but you do need to have that plan before you can go out and seek donations. With social media being such a huge part of how all of us advertise these days, we often don't think we need to spend any money on flyers or promo items or so on. But you want to consider your target audience. If they are people who wouldn't necessarily spend lots of time on Facebook or on Twitter, then that's not where you want to spend most of your efforts in marketing. And not everybody learns and understands information in the same way. Some need to hear it, some need to see it, some need to hold on to it physically. So in order to meet those different learning styles with your advertising, it's important to consider multiple methods of outreach. So now on to the advertising. There are 5 primary ways that we in Career and Leadership Development expect all of our events and promotions to include. Each one of these categories has multiple options in it, and we expect at least one option out of every category for our events, and we would suggest that you do the same. The 5 categories are print, 3D, personal contact, electronic, and press release. You'll see a lot of overlap in these 5 categories, and while that's inevitable, what's important to note is they each have a little bit different method of outreach and a little bit different way of reaching different targets. So while there may be some overlap, it does make sure that you're reaching the widest variety of individuals across campus, both based on learning styles as well as just personal preferences. Category 1 is print methods. These would be visual products that can typically be held in the hand. Table tents are a good example of that. Posters, flyers, butcher blocks, which are large format posters that can be hung in the University Center and in Esker, and then direct mailings or invitations. People like to be asked to join or to participate in things when you take the time to realize if they're actually a good fit. So direct mailing or invitation to people who actually would have some interest in a particular topic is going to be more successful than just sending out a flyer to every student across campus or to all freshmen. So it's important to think about, again, those target markets. Advertising 3D methods include giveaways and visual materials that go beyond the general paper methods. This could include things like signboards, giveaways, and display cases, and you can see examples of all of those in the pictures enclosed. One of the things we've done, as well as the University Center has done, is we've created our signboards so that they have some standard information that always gets included, painted on the boards, and then a space in the middle that we can change as often as we'd like. It reduces the amount of time needed to paint and allows us to change things as quickly as possible. Student organizations are responsible for purchasing and storing their own boards, but you can reserve the space to put them up through the University Center Reservations Office. Giveaways include things like candy or toys, things that people would keep even after they've read your information or even after the event or promotional activity has happened. We do hear from a lot of students these days that they're not really interested in tchotchkes or little items that they have to find a space in their limited residence hall rooms for. So important to think about the cost per item and what the students will do with it once they get it. The last piece that's on this page is display cases, and this is kind of a nice way to go. It doesn't have as much traffic as maybe tabling or some other 3D methods, but it is dedicated time with not a lot of visible distractions around it. So you can put a lot of information there that students can actually see and digest without getting overwhelmed by everything else surrounding it. 3 more 3D methods include floating balloon signs, tabling, and chalking, and you can see again examples here. Floating balloon signs is exactly what it sounds like, taking your poster or flyer and attaching it to helium-filled balloons. You do want to get permission from whichever building you want to put these in. But it's a great way to take what is basically just a 2-dimensional print item and make it be something that's visually appealing and catches people's eyes as they're walking through a building. Tabling is a great 3D method of outreach. Always want to consider, as you're planning your tables, the people who are sitting at that table need to be comfortable and knowledgeable about your organization or the event, and they have to be approachable and friendly so that students will actually want to come and chat with them to find out more information. The third on this page and final 3D method overall that's listed is chalking. And while chalking is technically 2-dimensional, it is found in a different format and in a different way than what you'll see other print methods across campus. One of the things I would suggest that you think about when you're chalking is that we don't know for sure when it's going to rain next. It might be an hour after you chalk or a month. And so if your event is free ice cream social, please make sure that you put the date of when that social is, because not only is that going to help you get people to come, it's also going to keep your members or potential members respectful of your organization because you've taken the time to give them the right info. They're not going to come looking for you on the wrong date or the wrong week. Personal contact is a key component to advertising and something that a lot of individuals like to avoid. It is a necessary component, however, because advertising is something we see around us all the time. And so if we want to make actual real connections with individuals, we have to take the time to do the personal contacts. This could be done in a number of ways. Pre-event announcements are a great way to already get people who are willing to come to events to find out about yours. Reaching out to faculty, student, and community members directly, making some connections through phone calls or personal meetings. Putting news posts out on Connect. You can post news posts for your portal or any portal you belong to that would then be sent to the members of those portals. A great direct contact for them. Class announcements, great way to stand up in the beginning of class and just quickly share with your class what kind of events are coming up. Cold calls are something that were once very encouraged in our office, but we really don't use cold calls per se anymore because people don't use phone books. So what I would suggest with cold calls is that you think about using your organization's membership to reach out to non-members. So maybe at the beginning of your next org meeting, you have everybody pull out their phones and person pick a phone number of someone who is not a current member of your group but is a student, and have them text or call that person and invite them to the next meeting or to the next event. Not exactly a cold call because you know the person that you're talking to, but at the same time it's not someone who's already invested or engaged in that organization. Facebook is obviously something that students are still using. Student orgs have pages, and then there are also personal pages. So again, just like with the cold calls, don't be afraid to ask the members of your organization to post information about your organization's events, and to reach out to their friends through Facebook to invite them to participate in the event or organization you're marketing. Electronic is the fourth of the 5 categories, and it's really very similar to personal contact methods, but typically it's more generalized, reaching a less specific audience. This could include using different calendars across campus, like the one on Connect UW-W, the campus-wide calendar, the university housing calendar. It also includes digital signage opportunities in Highland, the CA, and the Williams Center. Email listservs would be an option. Maybe consider doing a preview ad at the University Center movies, reaching a demographic of students who, again, like to attend fun things on campus and may have some connection through that movie to your organization or its event. And then, of course, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and any other social media platform that's really being used by students currently is a great way to get a broad-based advertising effort out there. The 5th category is related to press. So the first part of that is press releases. They are short, usually 5 to 7 sentences, simple announcements that are sent to media agencies, inviting them to pick up your story. So to take that 5 to 7 sentences, and maybe they simply post it in their newspaper or on their website, or maybe they contact you to do a deeper story about what you're doing. We encourage press releases to be sent to the Royal Purple. You can send them to off-campus papers if you'd like, as well as the Whitewater Banner, which is an online news source for the community of Whitewater. Other components to advertising through press are advertisements, so paid for space in newspapers or online news sites. Papers or newspapers will create your ad for an additional fee, at least most of them will. Either way, advertising is pretty expensive, so you need to weigh your options carefully. And then the last piece would be stories written by the staff of the paper or the website. It's great publicity. It gives you dedicated space to share your story. You always will risk the accuracy of the information because you're not the one that's putting that information together. You may be sharing, but it's somebody else's interpretation of what you've given. So it's important to know that there's a little bit of risk that comes with having a story written about your organization or its event. The Royal Purple does lots of stories about student organizations, and then the Marketing and Media Relations Office, which is an office that deals with how our campus is seen by the community, and that would be another way you could connect potentially with the off-campus community. So those are the 5 primary ways of advertising, but we always encourage students who are planning events in our office, as well as staff who are planning events or promotions, to really consider trying to do at least one unique marketing or advertising method every time they do any kind of plan. We want people to remember us and to remember our event. So as you're going through your plan, as you're deciding what kind of advertising you'll do, think about ways that are going to help you stand out among all of the other advertising that happens in the students' lives every day. So there's some examples here of some crazy things I've seen happen on campus and beyond. You could build a snowman that holds information. Members could dress up as zombies or in tuxedos to hand out information. Work with the radio station to do a broadcast as a promotion. Create a photo booth or large cutouts for people to take pictures in or with. This has been a great way to see students on Facebook pages and to get them to like or connect with Facebook pages, so that's something you could consider for your org. Find ways to get people to come up to your tables when you're tabling. That could be a game or activity. That could be something to hand out that's different or unique. Have some of your more outgoing members wear a sandwich board as they walk around campus to class. Create a puzzle or clues that you release slowly through many days. So, for example, for homecoming this past spring, we announced the theme by providing collections of pictures. And once you saw all the pictures, you could figure out exactly which theme we were going to do for homecoming. And then the inspiring funny buttons can be a great way. Students still collect buttons. A lot of other things that we hand out are not so popular, but buttons for some are an easy way to state what their identity is and how they participate in the world. When creating your promotional materials, the first thing to note is that all your materials should have a similar feel to them. That could be using the same colors, the same pictures, the same fonts, and so forth. And that's going to help a student to connect the multiple pieces of information that they see to your organization and to a particular event. Most individuals need to see information multiple times in order to understand and remember it. So when you have multiple types of materials, if they have a similar feel, that's going to help the students remember what they see. Other things to consider. Make sure you include all of your sponsors, including your own group, on any flyers or handouts that you create. Spell check is vital. A lot of the tips that you see here are specifically related to having a professional, pulled together look for your organization so that customers or people who are considering joining your organization know what they're getting into and that it's really going to have the greatest amount of benefit for them. All of your information should include dates, times, location, costs, and an explanation if needed. Sometimes you'll see posters that are for very recognizable names of movies or artists, and then in that case, you probably need to do any explaining. But quite often what we see on campus are speakers or artists, and we don't really even know what they're coming to campus to do. So a poster needs to present that. Is this a comedian or a musician or a speaker about global warming? Whatever the issue might be, the poster has to convey that very clearly to the student. We encourage using 3 or less fonts, use high quality images, provide a way to connect with you to ask questions. So a phone number and or email address. If a student needs accommodations or just doesn't understand all the details that they need from the poster, a way to connect with you is really important. Make sure your copies are high quality. Again, you're talking about the image of your organization, and so if you make posters and they're really grainy, low quality photos, or not clear, crisp copies, it look like your group's not very professional. The last tip here is to consider creating your posters in portrait rather than landscape. Portrait posters are taller than they are wide, and the specific reason for that is because it's easier to find space across campus to hang portrait posters than it is to provide or to find space for landscape posters. So back to marketing. Marketing is about that whole experience, so it's important to also consider the experience of a person who attends your meeting or event. When they walk into your meeting or event, how do they feel? How do they feel and think about your organization when they leave that event? It's important to also consider or prepare for those times when mistakes might happen and bad service or poor experience is had. How can your organization recover from that with that individual or with the campus overall? And then think finally about how your event and how your advertising represents your group. Each organization on campus has a unique style and a unique presence here. And so when you pick events and when you pick ways to advertise, you want to represent your organization in that way. You're being honest and transparent about who you are as an organization, and you're also making sure that people see you for the professional organization that you are. That they get the vibe you're advertising that matches the organization itself. There's a lot of information here and lots more to be had in regards to advertising and marketing. If you would like any assistance in making plans or reaching out to different offices to help you with your marketing, please come see us in the Student Involvement Office. The interns in that office can work with you as a drop-in or by making an appointment at our phone number and email listed on the screen. In addition to this presentation and within this uCast training, there are links for marketing plans and for other resources, policies, and forms that might be helpful as you're moving forward with your event. And then lastly, we would ask that you consider using the marketing preparation form found in Connect UW-W. The marketing prep form is something that won't be submitted to us, but it will just help you to process through what you're going to do in order to make sure you're reaching the most students and the right students across campus in order to be successful as a student organization. Thank you so much for your time in participating in this uCast training. If you have any additional questions, please stop in UC 127 to see us in the Student Involvement Office. Thank you.